I used to think my life was small but safe. I worked night shifts at the hospital, long, quiet hours, fluorescent lights, the rhythmic beeping of machines. It wasn't happiness, but it was predictable, and predictability was enough for me. Most nights I'd smoke behind the emergency entrance, watching the city lights fade into fog. That's where I first saw it, a flash in the sky. Not lightning. Too bright, too sharp, too deliberate. It came again, closer, and suddenly the world fell silent. No cars, no wind. Even the buzzing lights above me stopped. Then, darkness. I woke up in my bed. The clock on the nightstand was frozen at 3:33 a.m. The air smelled like metal and ozone. My phone was dead, my skin damp, and on my wrist were 3 small circular marks, evenly spaced, red, precise. For days, I tried to convince myself it was stress. I kept working, pretending everything was normal. But every night I woke to the same sound, a low, mechanical hum beneath the floor, like something enormous turning in its sleep. Once I caught my reflection moving half a second slower than I did. Then the nausea began. I bought a test, not because I believed it could happen. I can't have children. The doctor told me years ago my body made sure of that. But when I saw the result, my hands went numb. Positive. I laughed, shaking, thinking it was broken. I took another, then another, all the same. At the clinic, the doctor ran the test himself. He didn't meet my eyes when he said, "Congratulations." He printed the results, slipped them into a folder, and told me to rest. That night, the humming grew louder. I turned off the lights and sat in front of the window, unable to move. Outside, the street lamps flickered one by one until only my building was lit. When I looked down at my arm, I saw it. Faint silver dust moving beneath the skin, pulsing with my heartbeat. I tried to sleep, but the air in the room changed. The shadows bent in unnatural ways, stretching toward me. And then, they were there. 3 figures, tall and thin, their skin smooth and pale gray, their eyes deep and black like mirrors. They didn't walk, they glided. Light seemed to bend around them. They didn't speak with mouths. The voice was inside my head, calm, cold. "You have been chosen." The room dissolved into white light, weightlessness, sound collapsing into a single note. The last thing I remember was my body lifting from the bed, and the feeling that I wasn't falling upward, but the world itself was leaving me behind. When I opened my eyes, the world was metal. The air felt too clean, the light too white. It hummed like electricity. I lay on a smooth surface that curved slightly upward. Not a table, not a bed, something built for restraint. My arms wouldn't move, but I didn't feel tied down. It was as if gravity had changed its mind about me. The walls were covered in mirrored panels, each one faintly pulsing with light, like breathing steel. And in the reflections, movement. 3 of them again. Tall, precise, bodies wrapped in suits that shimmered like liquid glass. Their faces were blank except for those eyes, black, endless, reflecting me as if I were the specimen. One raised its hand. Its fingers separated into smaller silver filaments that floated in the air before touching my temple. A spark. And suddenly, noise. Not sound, but data. Symbols and patterns streamed through my thoughts, flashing faster than I could blink. DNA strands, planetary orbits, blueprints that looked half biological, half mechanical. A phrase formed inside my head, not spoken, but printed into thought. Subject compatible. Begin seed sequence. The light in the room changed. Panels on the ceiling opened with a quiet hiss, and a thin layer of mist fell over me. I tried to speak, to ask what they wanted, but my mouth refused to form words. My body felt weightless and heavy at the same time, floating in air that wasn't air. Then, for the first time, I noticed I wasn't alone. Dozens of capsules surrounded me, stretching into the distance. Each one held a human figure suspended in blue liquid. Some were women. Others looked like they'd started human, but something had gone wrong halfway. Their skin shimmered, veins glowing silver beneath the surface. Each capsule flickered with text, lines of alien code beside small English fragments. Phase 3, Viability, unstable. Phase 4, neural adaptation, success. I tried to move again, but the restraint tightened, not physical, but inside my nerves. Every heartbeat echoed in my head like a signal. When I turned my eyes, one of the capsules opened. The body inside floated upward for a moment, then vanished, dissolved into light. The voice returned, calm, absolute. Human biology failed under pressure. Emotion corrupted evolution. You will bear what comes next. I wanted to scream, but there was no sound. Only the steady rhythm of the machines, that mechanical heartbeat that matched my own. The light dimmed, and the beings moved toward a massive, transparent window. I followed their gaze. Outside, through the glass, a planet hung in space. It was Earth. I recognized the blue curve of oceans, the bright clouds swirling over continents, but half the world was dark, scorched, split by lines of molten red. The atmosphere shimmered with heat, storms forming like open wounds. Your planet is unstable, the voice said. You consume faster than you create. You destroy what you need to survive. Another holographic image replaced Earth, a new world, smaller, glowing beneath two suns. Oceans of liquid silver, mountains that seemed to grow as I watched. This will be the new cradle. You will help us build its life. My pulse synchronized with the hum of the ship. Something inside me began to move, not like a heartbeat, but a vibration, mechanical, rhythmic, perfectly controlled. I felt it scanning me from within, rewriting something deeper than DNA. The beings stepped closer again, forming a circle around me. You are compatible. You are chosen. The lights flared. I felt the air compress, my body dissolve, my thoughts stretch thin and wide, like I was being recorded instead of remembered. And then, just before everything went white, one last image burned into my mind. Rows of identical capsules, thousands of them, waiting to be filled, and every label read the same thing. Seed Program, Phase 5, Adaptation. When I woke up, I was back home. At least that's what I told myself. The air felt different, too clean, too thin. The silence pressed against my ears like pressure under water. The clock blinked 3:33 a.m., same as before. But there were no sheets on my bed, no dust on the furniture. The entire room looked new, as if rebuilt to match my memory. I stood in front of the mirror, still half asleep, and froze. My reflection blinked a second too late. The delay was small, half a heartbeat. But once I noticed it, I couldn't unsee it. Then I saw the light. Under my skin, fine lines of silver shimmered faintly when I moved. They weren't veins. They were patterns, geometric and perfect, like circuitry. When I touched them, they pulsed. Not with my heartbeat, but with something slower, mechanical. I tried to calm down. I washed my face, but the water rolled off my skin as if repelled. When I leaned closer to the mirror, I saw a faint symbol etched just beneath the surface of my right eye. Circular, fractal, like an insignia too small for any tool to carve. That night, I didn't sleep. Every time I blinked, I heard something in the dark. Not words. Tones, frequencies, layered like music, almost beautiful. Sometimes it sounded like a voice just beyond hearing, whispering in rhythm with my breath. Days passed, and I stopped trying to hide it. The silver marks grew brighter. Machines reacted when I came near. Streetlights flickered. Phones turned on. At the hospital, the heart monitors stabilized on their own when I entered the room. No one noticed, or maybe no one wanted to. Then came the first real message. I was standing in my kitchen when the hum in my chest aligned perfectly with the refrigerator's motor. The lights dimmed, the air stilled, and a sentence formed in my mind. Clean, cold, certain. You are not ill. You are becoming. I dropped the glass I was holding. It shattered, but I didn't react, because I realized something terrifying. The words hadn't come from outside. They had used my own voice inside my head. I ran to the bathroom and gripped the sink, shaking. My reflection stared back, calm, unbothered. Then, it smiled. I didn't. The same phrase repeated, but softer now, almost kind. You were not chosen by mistake. We adapt through you. The mirror surface flickered. For an instant, I saw through it, the metallic corridors of the ship, the capsules, the pale figures moving in silence. And there, inside one of the pods, something moved. A small shape, humanoid but not human. Its skin was translucent, its chest glowing with faint light. I watched as it opened its eyes, silver, identical to mine. My stomach turned. I stumbled back, covering my mouth. The lights above me flickered again, forming patterns of blinking code. Each flash felt like a heartbeat, echoing in my bones. I understood the rhythm instinctively, even though I couldn't explain it. It wasn't language, it was recognition. When I pressed my hand against my abdomen, I felt warmth spreading from within. Not movement, vibration. A precise pulse that matched the lights in the ceiling. For the first time, I knew it wasn't human. It wasn't even alive in the way life used to mean. The following nights blurred together. I stopped counting hours. The tones in my head became words again, fragments I couldn't silence. The seed must continue. The human structure cannot hold alone. A symbiosis is the only way. I began to understand what they meant. They weren't creating a child. They were merging species. When I dreamed, I saw the new world again, the one with the twin suns. The air there shimmered with metallic light, and the beings walked together. Neither machines nor humans, but something perfectly balanced between both. Their eyes glowed like mine. And in every direction, I could feel a single, unified heartbeat, not chaotic, not broken. One will, one mind. I woke gasping, my hands trembling. The mark beneath my eye was brighter now, almost white. The hum in my chest was constant. And when I whispered into the dark, "Who are you?" the answer came immediately, from somewhere inside me. "We are what comes after you." By the time I realized where they'd taken me again, I was already standing. No transition, no awakening. One blink, and the walls around me shifted from the dull gray of my apartment to the cold metallic geometry of the ship. The air buzzed faintly, charged with energy that prickled against my skin. The room was vast, circular, layered like an amphitheater. In the center stood dozens of tall, transparent pods, filled with slow-moving liquid. Inside each, a shape drifted. Human silhouettes at first glance, but the longer I looked, the less human they became. Their limbs were too long. Their skin reflected the dim blue light like glass. Their eyes glowed faintly beneath closed lids. I stepped closer to one of the capsules, my feet making no sound on the smooth floor. The being inside twitched as if sensing me. A trail of bubbles rose through the liquid. Then the pod itself exhaled, releasing a faint mist that smelled faintly like metal and salt. Above, vast cables descended from the ceiling like veins, feeding energy into the pods. At the top of each one, faint words shimmered in both English and alien script. Phase 7, sustainability. 14%. Phase 8, intelligence in progress. I should have run. But there was something magnetic in the air. A pull that felt both physical and emotional, like gravity made of thought. When I pressed my palm to the glass, the being inside mirrored me exactly. Not a reflex, intentional mimicry. And then its eyes opened. They were colorless at first, just pale voids. But as I stared, faint rings of light rippled outward, changing hue like oil on water. The same rainbow shimmer that I had seen in my own reflection days ago. The same impossible spectrum. The voice entered my mind again, smooth and low. This is not birth. It is continuity. The room brightened, and I saw more. Thousands of other pods receding into darkness, stacked like catacombs. Each held a different version of life. One had a creature with scaled skin and human features, its veins pulsing faintly with green light. Another, a humanoid with translucent wings folded tight against its body. Others were far stranger, some mechanical, others organic, some a fusion of both. All of them alive, all of them breathing, all of them watching me. I stumbled back, but the air thickened like gel. My movements slowed. In the reflection of the pod nearest me, I saw the faint outline of my own body flicker. Not flesh, not solid, but something in between. The silver patterns under my skin pulsed faster, glowing bright enough to light the room. One of the beings appeared beside me, silent, gray-skinned, eyes glinting like obsidian mirrors. It didn't move its mouth when it spoke, but I heard it clearly inside my head. Your kind was not meant to die, only to evolve. You were the vessel, and the vessel has taken root. The words hit harder than any sound. I turned back toward the pods and saw one that was mine. At least, that's what I thought. Inside floated a shape smaller than the rest. Not a fetus, not quite human, but undeniably alive. Its skin gleamed like liquid silver, and when its tiny hand pressed against the glass, I felt it, not on the outside, but inside my chest, as if we shared the same heartbeat. I whispered without meaning to, "Is it mine?" The answer came not in words, but in emotion, a wave of calm that spread through me like anesthesia. "It belongs to both." The creature opened its eyes. 2 points of light stared through me, not with recognition, but with understanding, as if it already knew who I was and what I had given up to exist. Then, without warning, the lights in the chamber dimmed. The hum grew louder, rising in pitch until it was almost unbearable. One by one, the pods began to rise from the floor, weightless, glowing faintly as they drifted toward the ceiling. The cables detached, curling like roots torn from the earth. "The cycle continues," the voice said. "Your world ends, but this one begins." I tried to scream, but the air itself muted the sound. The last thing I saw before everything went white was that small being, my child, our creation, looking down at me through the rising mist. Its mouth moved for the first time. No sound came out, but I understood the words. "Mother." When I opened my eyes again, I wasn't in the nursery. I stood in a corridor that stretched infinitely in both directions. A tunnel of brushed metal lit by veins of pale light running like capillaries along the ceiling. Every few meters, transparent panels revealed glimpses of other chambers beyond. Laboratories, containment cells, entire ecosystems suspended in artificial gravity. Each one held something alive, or something that used to be. The ship wasn't just a vessel, it was a world, and it was populated. The first figures I saw were not the gray beings who had taken me. These were different, each one shaped by some forgotten biology, wearing the traces of the worlds they came from. A tall, feathered creature with 6 eyes and hands that looked almost human. A reptilian figure whose translucent skin showed its glowing organs pulsing slowly beneath. And another, a humanoid machine that moved like it remembered what breathing felt like. They passed me without fear, as if I belonged among them. Maybe I did now. The corridor led to an enormous observation hall, a wall of glass revealing the void beyond. Outside floated dozens of other ships, each orbiting around something massive and luminous. Not a star, but a living structure, a sphere of light, pulsing slowly, feeding the vessels through long metallic strands that connected like umbilical cords. It looked like a cosmic hive. Behind me, the familiar voice returned, the one that had lived in my head since the first abduction. "You have seen your child. You will now see its kind." The floor beneath me shifted. The glass darkened and transformed into an image, not reflection, but memory. I saw the new world they had shown me before, the one with 2 suns. Now it was alive. Cities of silver bone rose from endless plains. Rivers of light flowed through valleys, and winged shapes glided across violet skies. On the ground, beings walked, not humans, not aliens, but the hybrids, thousands of them. Their movements were synchronized, graceful, efficient. They built structures with thought alone, shaping matter like sculptors of reality itself. And everywhere I looked, I saw those same rainbow eyes, reflections of my own. "They are born from you," From many of you, the voice said. Each carries the memory of its origin, the memory of extinction, the memory of Earth. My knees went weak. I realized what they had done, not just with me, but with others before me. The ship wasn't abducting people at random. It was collecting mothers. I turned, and there, through the next chamber, I saw them. Rows of women suspended in energy fields, their bodies surrounded by spheres of faint blue light. Some were still conscious, eyes half open. Others looked like they had been there for decades, untouched by time. Every one of them carried the same mark beneath the right eye, glowing faintly, identical to mine. And above their heads, inscriptions in the alien script read the same 2 words, over and over, Seed Bearer. I stumbled toward them, but a barrier of invisible force stopped me cold. Static crawled up my skin, and for an instant, I could feel every heartbeat in that chamber. They weren't dead. They were dreaming, sharing thoughts through a network of light that connected them all. One of them opened her eyes and looked straight at me. She wasn't afraid. She mouthed something, one word, before the field dimmed again. Run. But there was nowhere to run. The ship shifted, gravity bending sideways for a second before stabilizing. A siren, low and organic like a heartbeat amplified 1,000 times, echoed through the corridor. The lights changed color from white to red, and then a new voice replaced the one I knew, deeper, angrier. Unauthorized consciousness detected, subject unstable. The air thickened again. Panels on the walls opened, releasing drones, small spider-like machines with glowing centers that hummed with power. They crawled toward me, scanning every inch of my body. I raised my hand to block the light, and the circuitry beneath my skin flared in response, blinding, instinctive. The machines froze. The voice spoke again, but now there was fear in it. Override failed. The human has adapted beyond parameters. In the reflection of the glass, I saw my eyes for the first time since the experiment. They weren't just glowing. They were alive, swirling with shifting colors, mirroring the energy of the ship itself. The drones backed away. The red light faded back to white, and the calm voice returned, quiet, patient. Do not be afraid. Evolution resists control. That is why you were chosen. Outside the glass, the luminous hive pulsed faster, a reaction, maybe to me. I felt it through my chest, through the mark beneath my eye, through every nerve that was no longer mine. A strange peace washed over me, the feeling that I was part of something too vast to fight. And then the voice whispered one last thing, almost tenderly. The seed is no longer ours. It has begun to think for itself. The ship was silent, not dead, just waiting. The hall that had once been full of light now pulsed faintly, as though it were breathing slower, conserving energy. I stood alone on the platform, surrounded by the hum of systems that seemed to listen to me. The drones had vanished. The gray figures, gone. Even the hybrids in their pods had disappeared, leaving only faint outlines where their bodies had once floated. And in that stillness, I felt the pull again. Not gravity, but intention. Something wanted me to move. Something wanted me home. A passage opened in the floor, spiraling downward. I stepped inside before I could think. The walls around me were smooth, seamless metal that glowed with shifting colors, echoing the rhythm of my heartbeat. The deeper I went, the quieter everything became, until I could hear only my own breathing. At the bottom of the shaft was a single door, if it could even be called that. It was circular, engraved with countless patterns that moved like liquid light. When I touched it, the lines responded, spreading under my fingertips in symmetrical ripples. Then it opened, soundlessly like a sigh. Inside was a small chamber, just big enough for one person. In its center floated a sphere of pure white light. Around it hung fragments of familiar things, objects from Earth. A coffee mug, a piece of paper, a photograph of a woman and child, a cracked phone screen, a city skyline seen through smog, all suspended in the air, unmoving, like relics of a forgotten dream. The voice spoke again, calm and distant. Every subject must return to origin. The design demands completion. The sphere brightened until I could no longer look at it, and then it consumed everything. I fell, not through space, but through time. The sensation was impossible, every second stretching, collapsing, repeating. I saw flashes, earth from above, oceans boiling, cities drowned in light, the surface cracking open like skin under heat, then darkness, then stars again. When I hit the ground, I was on sand. The sky above me was a familiar shade of blue. Wind carried the scent of dust and oil. In the distance, I saw cars, real, rusted, ordinary cars, driving down a highway. For a moment, I thought it was all a hallucination. But then I heard a radio somewhere, playing a song I hadn't heard in years. I staggered toward the road, my legs weak, my mind spiraling. The first person who saw me screamed. I must have looked like a ghost, barefoot, pale, covered in silver lines that faded as the sunlight touched them. The date on a newspaper I found in a gas station read 2019, 5 years after the day of the experiment. I tried to speak, but my throat ached like it hadn't been used in years. Every word I said came out distorted, like two voices overlapping. When I looked into a mirror near the counter, my reflection was human again. Almost. Only the faint mark under my right eye remained, a pale scar shaped like a perfect circle. I pressed my fingers to it, and for a moment, I heard a heartbeat that wasn't mine. Days passed in a blur. Hospitals, police, questions I couldn't answer. I told them I didn't remember. That was easier than the truth. At night, I dreamed of the child, the silver-skinned being in the pod, its eyes reflecting every color of light. Sometimes I woke up crying, feeling a warmth in my chest, a pulse deep under my ribs. It always faded by morning, but it was there, a quiet reminder that something inside me was still connected. Once I stood outside at sunset and saw a shape high in the sky. Not a plane. It moved too smoothly, too deliberately. It shimmered like metal but glowed faintly, just enough to reflect the dying light. And in that instant, I felt the hum again. Not in my ears, in my bones. A single message, as clear as thought itself. You carried us home. The object disappeared behind a cloud, leaving the sky empty. But I knew it wasn't over. Something in me had changed. The silver under my skin was gone, but I could feel it, deeper now, woven into my blood. When I closed my eyes, I could still hear the distant rhythm of that other world. A heartbeat, patient and endless. I wasn't supposed to survive. But maybe survival wasn't the point. Maybe the experiment had ended the moment I came back. Because now Earth was part of them too. And somewhere out there, in the darkness between worlds, my child was still watching. When I woke up again, I wasn't in a hospital. I was sitting in a metal chair, my wrists resting on a cold surface. The air smelled sterile, dry, recycled. White walls, no windows. One dim light above me flickered in rhythm with a faint electric hum. I wasn't restrained, but I didn't feel free. Across from me stood two people, both wearing the same black uniforms. Their jackets bore the same insignia I'd seen before. Foreign memory. The name alone was enough to make my pulse quicken. One of them, a tall man with no visible expression, pressed the recorder on the table. A red light blinked to life. Case 24, he said quietly. Recovered subject found near Tucson Desert. Physical state stable. Cognitive stability unknown. Begin session. His partner leaned forward. Tell us what you remember. For a while, I said nothing. My voice felt distant, like it belonged to someone else. I told them about the lights, the ship, the experiments. I told them about the beings who weren't human, and the child that was. The man didn't blink once. The woman only took notes, her pen scratching quietly against the paper. You said they called you a vessel, she said finally. Do you know what that means? I shook my head. They didn't explain, but I think I was carrying something. She exchanged a glance with her partner. Did you ever feel it move? That question hit too deep. I hesitated. I don't know if it was inside me, I said slowly. Sometimes I feel it here. I touched my chest, like it's awake when I dream. The man clicked the recorder off for a moment, then back on. Did they mention other subjects? Yes, I said. Hundreds, maybe thousands. They called them seed bearers. Silence. The woman's hand froze mid-sentence. The man looked up for the first time, his eyes sharp and analytical. You understand, he said quietly, that what you're describing never happened. I wanted to argue, to shout, but all that came out was a whisper. I saw it. I saw her. My child. The woman closed the file folder in front of her. You've been through trauma, she said. Sometimes the brain fabricates patterns to make sense of pain. What you saw, what you think you saw, may have been a projection. But I knew she didn't believe that. Her voice trembled just enough to betray her. The man turned off the recorder completely this time. Then he leaned closer, lowering his voice. We've heard this before. I froze. What do you mean? He didn't answer directly. Instead, he said, Case 19, Case 21, Case 23. They all spoke of the same light, the same marks, the same hybrid offspring. Some disappeared before we could confirm. Others... He stopped. The woman gave him a warning look. That's enough, she said. He doesn't need to know. The man sighed, pressed another button, and the wall behind them flickered, revealing a massive screen. Images appeared, blurred photographs of people who looked just like me, all of them with the faint circular scar under their right eye. Some were missing for years. Some were dead. Some had simply vanished. You're not the first, the man said, but you might be the last one who remembers. My throat went dry. What happens now? Neither of them spoke for several seconds. Then the woman stood up, gathered her papers, and whispered, We'll make sure you don't suffer. The man adjusted something on the panel beside him. The room filled with a faint hiss, like gas escaping a valve. My heartbeat quickened. What are you doing? We're helping you forget, he said calmly. You'll wake up somewhere safe. You won't remember us. You won't remember them. I tried to stand, but the chair wouldn't move. My vision blurred at the edges, colors folding into one another. Through the haze, I heard the woman's voice one last time. Archive this as Case 24. Subject recovered, memory erased, stable for reintegration. The sound of the recorder clicked again. Final entry. And as the room faded, I saw the man turn toward the wall and speak quietly into his earpiece. Confirm containment. The mark is still active. Darkness pressed in. My last thought before everything went black wasn't fear. It was that faint heartbeat again. The one that wasn't mine. Faint, steady, alive somewhere out there. And then, nothing. Foreign memory. Case 24. Status, classified. Memory wiped.